Welcome everybody, and today we're going to be kicking off Halloween, as I consider the entire month of October to be Halloween. And yeah, for this month we are going to be doing 31 days of horror. So that is going to be one horror film a day at least that we're going to review. Now this is not going to mean that we're going to be replacing normal reviews of films in particular that are newly released, because Lord knows there are plenty of films being released this month that are new releases. So for instance, we've got the 7th, 8th, and 9th box sets in the Tales of Adventure box set series from Imprint that are coming out at some point. And yeah, got a bunch of stuff on Vinegar Syndrome coming as well, and yeah, there are obviously going to be other new releases as well besides all of that. So yeah, this isn't going to replace any of those kind of reviews, it's just going to supplement them. So yeah, and to start this season off in fine style, we've got a release that did come out earlier this year, but due to the number of releases that had come out around the same time, I just didn't find any time to fit it in. So yeah, and it is the Wolfman Collection. So it's got one of those lenticular kind of cases which change when you move it. And yeah, this was released by Imprint earlier this year. I think it was July or August. But because, like I said, it was such a busy time, I figured may as well save it for October when it's the spooky season. So we're going to look at each film in this collection. There are three of them. And yeah, the first one is the one that most people will have known from this release, and it is 1941's The Wolfman. So this is directed by George Wagner, who also did Man-Made Monster and Horror Island, both the same year as this, as well as The Climax, which is Boris Karloff one that we reviewed in the past. And it's a gothic horror film clocking at 70 minutes long. Stars the likes of Lon Chaney Jr., who I've seen in 24 other films. Um, for these kind of film reviews, I'm going to mainly mention their horror efforts. So yeah, he was in other Universal horror films like The Ghost of Frankenstein, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, Son of Dracula, House of Frankenstein, and House of Dracula. Also stars Claude Rains, who I've seen in 12 other films. Sorry, he was also in the likes of The Invisible Man and Phantom of the Opera. And finally, got Ralph Bellamy, who was also in The Ghost of Frankenstein. So, after his brother's death, Larry Talbot returns home to his father and the family estate. Events soon take a turn for the worse when Larry is bitten by a werewolf. So, this isn't quite my favourite of the main Universal monster films, as you'd say, the likes of Frankenstein, Dracula, Bride of Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, this, and The Creature from the Black Lagoon, I guess you could say. They're all the main staples. It's probably not my favourite of all of those, but it is still nonetheless an effective and engrossing effort throughout. The cast is also good. It is solidly paced. It is generally entertaining, has a decent score. There is some effective atmosphere, especially when you're in the woods and there's a lot of like fog around. And the effects are well done for the time. So yeah, like I said, not my favourite of the Universal monster films, but it's still a solid 3.5 out of 5. And then from 1935, so we take a little bit of a step back here, we have Werewolf of London. So this is directed by Stuart Walker, who I've not seen anything else from before. This is just full-blown horror this time, no gothic undertones here. And it clocks in at 75 minutes long. Stars Henry Hull, who I've not seen in anything other horror-wise, but he was in the really rather great films Lifeboat and High Sierra. Same case for Warner Oland, who was also in Shanghai Express and Dishonored. But Valerie Hobson was in Bride of Frankenstein. So, yeah, she's a pretty well-known actress and arguably one of the first iconic female roles in horror film, quite frankly. So yeah, a strange animal attack turns a botanist into a bloodthirsty monster. So this isn't quite as good as the prior film in this release, but I did find this nonetheless to be an engrossing and entertaining enough effort, while certainly not being any worse than what I consider to be lesser Universal monster efforts. Now, that's not in terms of the staple ones I've mentioned earlier, but more like some of the sequels, for instance, that came out, or some of the less known ones. But that said, the cast is also decent. There are some interesting filming techniques. The cinematography is well done. The pacing is on point, and the finale is really rather quite fun. So, yeah, 3 out of 5 for this one. Certainly not as good as The Wolfman, but there are definitely worse films you could deal with from the same period. And last but not least, we have from 1946, She-Wolf of London. So this is directed by Gene Yarborough, who also did The Devil Bat and House of Horrors. And this is a mystery horror film clocking in at 71 minutes long, starring Don Porter, who was in Night Monster, June Lockhart, who would go on to star in the 1986 film Troll, and Sarah Haddon, who was also in Mad Love with Peter Lorre. That's a romance horror, one of the few that is actually in that kind of mix of genres. So a young heiress finds evidence suggesting that at night she acts under the influence of a family curse and has begun committing ghastly murders in a nearby park. So although I can definitely see why this would annoy some people due to the title and its premise, giving the indication that this is going to be a certain type of film, I do ultimately respect this for going down a more psychological and mystery route than just being a typical monster horror film. What is a shame though is that the plot doesn't delve deep enough into either its psychological or mystery elements, which certainly isn't helped by its short running time, because 71 minutes, you really don't have all that much time to cram in any all that much. Like I said, it is well paced. The cast is good. I found the plot to be predominantly engrossing. It has some decent cinematography, and it is a little bit more violent than you would expect. But yeah, there's not really a wolf in this or werewolf in this at all, to be honest. So yeah, that is a little bit of a shame. But just like the previous film, gonna give it 3 out of 5. So yeah, overall a decent collection, and yeah, I like the lenticular case that we've got going on. I don't think there's any reverse artwork for this case. No, that's the artwork we get on the case itself, and then we do get some art cards for this. We have a bunch of different posters for the Wolfman, and one for Werewolf of London and two for She-Wolf of London. That's a poster most people will know for the Wolfman. Lesser known one, I believe. And then we've got Werewolf of London. Oh no, we actually have two for Werewolf of London. It's She-Wolf of London that has two as well. There's two apiece. I just didn't see the second one of this one. And then She-Wolf of London. And then the last one. We also have some extras on the disc itself. So for the Wolfman, we have audio commentary by film historian Tom Weaver. Then we have Monster by Moonlight, a featurette. Then we have The Wolfman from Ancient Curse to Modern Myth featurette. Pure in Heart, The Life and Legacy of Lon Chaney Jr. featurette. He Who Made Monsters, The Life and Art of Jack Pierce featurette. The Wolfman Archives Gallery, Trailer Gallery, and 100 Years of Universal The Lot featurette. Then for the Werewolf of London, we have audio commentary by film historian Tim Lucas, as well as a image gallery. That commentary is from this year, by the way. Do apologise, I am currently suffering from a bit of a cold. And then for She-Wolf of London, we have audio commentary by horror film historian, sorry, Tom Weaver, and that's from 2025 as well. And we also get an image gallery on that release as well. And the Blu-ray quality is pretty good as well. The Wolfman has had a Blu-ray release in the past. I actually did own it because it was the only one out of the Universal horror film that I hadn't had. I do believe I have that on 4K now though as well. So a little bit redundant in that regard if you've got that film on 4K via the Universal Monster 4K box sets that came out a while back. But I got this purely because of the other two films which haven't had a Blu-ray release before. And even though they're not by any means my favourite films of their respective types, I do nonetheless really rather enjoy them enough. And yeah, I can hardly be too angry at films that are barely an hour long. Yeah, or barely an hour 10 long. So yeah, on the whole, a really rather solid collection, and yeah, an interesting look at doing a wolf film in three different kinds of ways. Really, to be honest, you got your more gothic and atmospheric type, you got your full blown horror, and then you got your more mystery and psychological kind of elements as well in the third film. So yeah, overall, really rather good. I hope you're going to have a fun Halloween yourself, regardless of whether or not you celebrate it for the full month or just for the 31st. Like I said, will be at least one horror film reviewed a day. But like I said, that won't replace any normal reviews for new releases. And then on Halloween itself, we're going to do a little bit of a special one where I'm going to look at a bunch of films from one actor that I consider to be the most iconic of the horror genre, to be honest. Even though he didn't play any real iconic characters, he did be it was an icon as far as I'm concerned within the genre, and I own many a film from him in that genre as well. So yeah, we'll be looking through his films. I don't think I've done that in the past before. If I have, I will choose someone else. But regardless, thank you for watching. If you've seen any of these three films before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on them. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.